whom we haven't met is Ken and Neil. So if you all could introduce yourselves, and then we can proceed with uh, marketing ideas. So Ken, yeah, you're muted.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
unmuted here. Thank you very much. It's always a thrill to be part of one of these shows. I'm an author, an editor, a book coach. That's what I'm doing more than anything right now. I've written a lot of books and edited a lot of books that have my own byline. I've been working more now at this point in my life to help other people do the same. So my latest book is it's called You've Got the Time, and which is the number one excuse I hear from authors why they can't write their book. I don't have time. You got plenty of time. You just have to know where to find it. And the subtitle is How to Write and Publish That Book in You. So I guess I'll be talking a bit about book promoting in a few minutes. So I won't get into that now, but there are a ton of ways to promote your book. That's the one thing I'll leave you with right now before I start talking later on.
And Ken's going to give you some great ideas, so make sure you have paper and pencil ready to write notes because he's going to give you some great tips. All right, so Neil, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Name is Neil Owens, and I am a independent author. And I'm glad to be here. It's very exciting to be here and to hear some of the information that I'm getting. It's some very good, valuable information. And I look forward to the book marketing from tips from Ken. And Mark, I'm very interested in the way you put your novel together with the realism and the fiction. As I call it like a realistic fiction. That's the way I like to write. So I like the approach you put there with that. That was pretty cool. But yes, my latest book is Mirrors of Life Part 2. It's a continuation of a contemporary experiences of a Black family in America. And it's through the emotional tale of a mother and her children. And it's really about a young venture capitalist, a young gentleman who becomes a venture capitalist. And he attempts to build Black Wall Streets nationwide. And that pits him against the powers that be, business powers that be, that is. So he's caught up into a world where he discovers that he has to gain political strength to be able to sustain the civic-minded conglomerate. That's where he finances a grassroots nationwide voting initiative that his mother spearheads, who is protagonist number one. And they work to change the leadership in Congress and the White House. So it's a very deep political thriller. The protagonist is the gentleman who has extreme power. He's a neo-Nazi, narcissistic neo-Nazi who manipulates the voters to get his puppet president, and he attempts to rebuild the Fourth Reich. So it's set in today's political climate. It's a very realistic type fiction.
It is.
Wow. Interestingly said.
Neil is coming back at 1 o'clock, so we're gonna have a powerful group of authors in that session. So if you can come back at 1 o'clock, you're going to be really excited. But today we're going to talk about the roundtable and marketing tips. So we'll start with Ken. Yeah.
Well, as the roundtables go, we probably need to kind of pull together our focus because we're people, and we're all drawn together by a few simple conditions. I mean, our work, our families, our culture, our time, and the vision that makes us who we are. And we're all Americans, who love the country and want to see great things occur and have benefited because of a heritage and culture for it. And so the visions for tomorrow are in our all hearts, and they're important, and they're a necessity that we can contrive and drive together for purposes that make America better or that make our time better. But there are challenges, there are obstacles, and these are important conversations. Now, the industries of course, the industries run the gamut. So, the purpose, and I think more important, as we can move for a better tomorrow, or better tomorrows for more people, we'll say. That's the premise. Better tomorrows for more people. Now, we're apolitical. We're apolitical. We don't want to step on anybody's toes. We want to be respectful. We want to adhere. We want to listen. We want to create and conjure ways that we can interact together better. I would like to think that our program here enables us to talk, enables us to understand, enables just creating the vibe, just creating the vibe. Our vibe is essential, in that we're all important people. We're all, essential. We're all given to give gifts. And so each one of you have gifts to give. So with that being said, I table and submit the question. Um, uh, uh, let's see here. Table the question as a culture, and without putting too much emphasis on uh, your personal position or placement. Uh, uh, no, I'm working here, I'm working. Trust me. But and I'm doing this so that I don't step on anybody's toes. You understand that? When you're weaving through the room, we can't step on anybody's toes. But I want everybody involved. I want you to know that you're cared about, that you're important. And so let's start this way. And I did this with the group the other day. Let me just say we're creating a harmonious center. A harmonious center. Some of the best candy bars have a chewy nougat. They call it a chewy nougat. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to create a chewy nougat so that all know that you're important, you have value, and that you can do most anything. Let's put it here. What is the thing that you have the biggest problem with driving your own personal agendas forward? What is your biggest challenge when it comes to your family, yourself, and how you can create and leave the legacy and the hallmark of what you like to do? That's a good question. What do you think? That's a good starting question. Because we have work to do. We all have work to do. So in your work, what are your biggest obstacles to developing and cultivating your work? We can all learn from that. So anybody, everybody.
Well, Elton, are we talking about how these obstacles come in the way of marketing the books, or is
Yes.
this
Yeah.
like a general?
Yes. So let's start with the challenges, Ramona.
Yes. So what challenges have you all experienced, if we can quickly go around, in marketing your book, especially during the pandemic?
And if you're not a book author like Donna and Jerry, just talk about your challenges for marketing your services.
Dr. Powers?
I would say the biggest challenge for me is that when I retired, I was eager to become more anonymous, having been a physician and faculty for so many years. I wanted to just pull back a little bit and be able to learn other things, to take classes, to write, all those things. And then as it came time to publish my book, I had to realize I needed to be on social media. And so I've I've joined LinkedIn. I've been on Twitter for years because I've followed on that, but I was always reluctant to be on Facebook because I didn't want to have patients wanting to friend me and not thinking that's appropriate as a physician. And so I'm trying to figure out how to market better by social media.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Bill?
Yes, Dr. Powers, I totally agree with you. My major challenge, besides COVID and just being shut down, not able to get out and around and talk to people, has been my reluctance to be involved in social media. And they finally twisted my arm to get on a couple of the main social media sites. And during the last few months, not the last few months, the November through January timeframe, let's say, the topic of my book was not popular at the time, and I experienced some significant, I don't know whether
Pushback.
Yeah, that's a polite word to use. Thank you.
Very good.
So for me, yeah, social media has not been real friendly, and I'm not very experienced in it. But I think still a major thing for me was just being shut down during COVID. But on the other side of that is that Zoom has been just absolutely a great thing that I have had no experience in until COVID arose, and it has helped a lot.
Mr.
Very
Owens, Neil?
Pardon?
What
Yes.
challenges have you faced?
Wow. There's a lot of challenges faced as a new independent author. I mean, it's a tremendous challenge in getting your work exposed to people. The COVID has been very difficult because of it takes away from you getting a chance to get out to the book fairs and book festivals and getting to meet people and getting to get a chance to get some exposure. So it's and social media is important. I've never been really much of a social media person, but that's important as far as going through the marketing. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, and I definitely look forward to listening to Ken to see some of the things that he would like to share with us and helping us. You know, one of the things is there are so many books that's being published. I mean, there's over 1 million books published every year, and so when you break it down by average, you know, you're looking at over 100,000, about 100,000 books every month. So there's a lot of books out there. So it's a very, very extremely big challenge to break through and just get some exposure.
Great. That was awesome. Mhm.
Ken, do you have anything to encourage and channel?
I would have to have something positive to say, or I wouldn't be able to be in the business still. Writing the book is the easy part. The hard part is promoting the book, not a question. I would say, though, that, you know, 1 million, 1 billion, however many books are being published, you're not competing with every one of those. I would just abolish that thought from my mind. Oh my God, so many books are being published. What you do is create your own community, and you begin to sell through that. I personally hate social media, but that's a luxury that I don't have. You know, you can't just dwell on it. You got to play with it. It's a game. You got to get into the game. And I'll be honest, I'm starting to like it more. I'm getting better at it. I've got a number of different ways that I wanted to share. How many minutes do I have to talk?
Claire, how long do we have for this roundtable?
Well, the round table is about 35 minutes.
Okay.
35 minutes.
I just want to prioritize my ideas so that I can.
Well, about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Is that okay? Because we'll come back to have other questions to answer, if that's okay.
Okay. Well, I'll just throw out a few quickies then. One of them, the easiest by far, is to turn your book cover into a business card. Let me show you what I've done. I had one book, Your Partner Has Breast Cancer. It's about how to stay sane as a support person. Here's the business card I created for it. Really nice, just out of the cover of the book. The bottom part here has the contact information. Real simple. Another book was a book of puns, very funny book about puns for the workplace. It's called Ken Waxberger's Puns and Wordplays for the Job Seeker. Here's the business card. Real nice. My newest book, what I just told you about, you've got the time. Here's the business card. And right on the back of it is my regular business card, all my information. So it's real easy. You need a business card anyhow for your business. Just take the book cover and turn it into it. Whoever typesets your book and does the cover, they'll do the work. Just pay them a few extra bucks, very cheap, and they'll turn it into a book cover. Another way to do it, turn it into a bookmark. I'm going to be not speaking, but I'm going to be attending the National Speakers Association annual conference, and I'm one of the major editors there. So I use this. It says your book isn't ready for publication until it's had expert editing. And then on the back, I've got some testimonials. Here's my book, and on the bottom is a book review. So this is real easy, real inexpensive. So that's one way, a business card. Public speaking is another huge way. I actually had my book launch last year, on February 27th. I had a great launch. The book became a bestseller right in the middle of my launch. So that was pretty exciting. 2 weeks later, we all went into the pandemic shut us all down. So I stopped speaking publicly, at least in person. That's when Zoom began. But speaking is huge. Speaking builds your credibility as an author. Writing a book builds your credibility as a speaker. So they both go back and forth. Social media and friends, when you're writing the book, before you even publish it, before you send it to the editor, it should go out without saying that you want to have your book edited. Have it professionally edited. I'm a professional editor, so I'm plugging myself. But trust me, you have to have it edited. But before you send it out to a professional editor, that's where you start paying a lot of money. Before you do that, put the word out on Facebook, on LinkedIn, whatever social media you're part of, and just say, hey guys, I've got a book coming out. I'd love you to review the unpublished version. You get a lot of people who are honored. They're honored to be asked. They dive in, they'll review it for free. They'll review it quickly. And what you do is give them specific questions. Don't just say, hey, what do you think? Or do you like it? Or something like that. You want critical responses. You don't want just, hey, it's nice. But expect real critical responses. What's going to happen is they're gonna in some cases give you some comments that are going to knock you on your butt. On the other hand, they're going to say some good things too. So what you do is you extract those good comments, create a testimonial out of it, and then send it back to them and say, hey, is this okay that I use this? And now you've got two uses. First of all, you can put that on your website, as a testimonial. Second of all, when your book comes out, send it right back to the person who gave the review, along with the link to your page on Amazon, on Smashwords, whatever platforms you use to sell the book, and say, would you mind copying this exact quote into the reviews? It's real easy. They'll do it. You've given them the link, and you want to gather reviews. You want reviews on Amazon and wherever else you are. So that's a real easy way to get them.
Okay. Well, I want to take a minute because I mean, Mark did something. Thanks for that, Ken. I appreciate that. But Mark did something that was pretty interesting in that he directed with a social group with the beekeepers a market audience that is yours. You could claim that just like a Neil, a political center. Those areas, if you target communities to do your social engagements and social networking with, are just profound. I mean, say for, and even yours, Ken, in that if you targeted those social networks, that you could make sure you harness as a community, create bigger volumes for book sales. What? Tell me
Same
what your
thing with
thoughts
them.
are.
You're right. No, that's another example of a social media group. It's a, organizations you belong to. And in fact, uh, you want to build credibility. If you're writing a novel about beekeeping and you get somebody who's the president of a beekeepers organization to give you a testimonial, you definitely want to put that in the bio, in the byline rather. You want to
Right,
say president of whatever. That
right, right,
builds credibility.
right. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Well, I definitely tried to harness our beekeepers and also
Did you
physician
do that as
groups.
a strategy? Did you do that as a strategy or it just happened?
No, that's as a strategy, but some of my endorsements were beekeepers, some of them were physicians, some of them were other authors. But I think having your people ready to, before you launch, having your endorsements all lined up is key. And the higher profile that person, the better.
Okay. Mhm.
So you can put them in your
Neil,
endorsement.
and Neil, did you do something like that? Is that an area that you were exploring, or did you, or will you?
Yeah, I tried that. There's with my book, it's as far as communicating with politicians. My book is very controversial, and and the politicians didn't want to be a part of that. They gave me something off the record. They gave me comments off the record, but it's too controversial for them to
Okay.
have their
Now,
name
because
attached to it.
those are readers too, though, and people that offer controversy can be an audience. I mean, in
Oh yes,
fact, the more controversial a subject matter is, and Bill mentioned that he got pushback from certain areas of the community because of the subject matter of his book. Now, if that is a very contentious subject matter, that's book sales, because people do want to understand how contentious the subject matter is and how to
It's a
explore
good
it.
thing. And that's a good thing as long as the conversation is civil. And,
Yeah.
and it mostly is, but you're absolutely right.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, like this, I mean, you have to create conditions and rules, even if people are commenting on your position, as long as they know that there are particular rules about those comments and that there are standards that we must contain and enjoy and endure, just as being as respectful as we can, super respectful as we can.
so
So,
Enton, Donna had a question in the chat here.
sure, please, please.
She's asking Ken, what's the biggest mistake that first time authors make, both when writing and marketing their book?
Good question.
Good question. Good
Well, I
question.
don't know if there's one big mistake. There's so many that people can make. One of them, though, is not beginning your sales and marketing long before the book comes out. A lot of authors focus on writing and they wait till the book comes out and then they figure out, okay, how am I going to sell it? What you want to do is start selling months and months in advance. For one thing, you want to know who your market is and be real specific. You don't want to just say, this is for anybody. Anybody's going to love this, but no, not true. You want to find a specific market. An author friend of mine, he says, know your Jennifer. That's his expression. Jennifer was the person he used. he found one person who he thought was the ideal reader and focused on her. So you want to figure out your audience. You want to figure out your plan early in advance. I could say more about that, but in a short response, that's the most important thing. I think you're not planning promotion well in advance of the actual launch.
Well, a comment to what you're saying. Typically, when you're writing, and I also want to explore, the writing tenacity therapies, because I mean, there are going to be hills and valleys. And Brian opened our presentations up today with about, because he's a hiker and there are hills and valleys. In the book author profile, there will be hills and valleys where we are encouraged by the responses from people. And then there are hills and valleys where we're discouraged. And so we have to adapt some bounce back therapies. I don't know if any of you have them, or in your professions you probably do, but I think personally, I don't know, and this is in business as it were, you have to have tenacity therapies where you bounce back. Like for me, it's fishing. I love fishing. I love fishing. I love fishing, and I love it to the point where, I mean, it's simple, it's stupid, but just casting, and then you'll hit something. But the point of it is, you have to have tenacity therapies. Share with us some of yours, if you will. Maybe I don't know. Maybe beekeeping is yours, Mark. I don't know. Tell me about your tenacity therapies.
My tenacity?
Yeah.
Well, beekeeping is one of them. I do a lot of gardening.
Okay.
Like to cycle, and then writing. I think writing has been probably the constant. Getting up in the morning and writing for a couple hours, and the rewards that gives you when you sit down and read what you've written at the end of that time. And then when you've got a whole work together like a novel, that's a tremendous satisfaction. It's a very positive reward for sustained effort.
That's good. That's good. So it's good. From what I'm hearing you say is that you need a few things like that give you bounce back.
Yeah.
You give you bounce back, hills and valleys, up and down, bounce back. Good.
I have two more novels too that will hopefully be published before too long. So
okay, very good. Very
hopefully,
good.
if this one does well, we'll be moving on those.
Okay, very good. I got another question to come back to, but I just want to get through time. Anybody else got any tenacity therapies they use? Neil?
Yeah, and I just put something in chat, but what I try and do, and I think some of the people have already alluded to it, I just get outside in nature. I think when you get outside and you clear your head of all the junk that's in there, and you just kind of focus on the beauty of the earth and God's hand, I think it really kind of recenters you. I also try and spend a few minutes every day, even if I'm having a kooky day, just to read a part of some book that's inspiring, whatever it might be. I take it with me in my car. And if I've got, a few minutes between appointments, I read a chapter of that book, because it also recenters my head a little bit, because the last appointment may have been terrible, and I need to get back on track and keep my perspective that the next one's going to be awesome. Like you said, all green lights, it's all green lights today. So for me, it's nature, it's prayer every morning, and then, reading that inspiring book at least once a day. So that's what helps me.
So you're not trying to join Brian's hiking club, are you?
I wish that the military hadn't ruined my knees. I would love to hike, but unfortunately, all that running in combat boots destroyed my knees. So good for you, Brian. I wish I could.
Well, Dr. Powers has to leave. Dr. Powers, thank you very much. And
thank you, Dr. Powers.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. I really appreciate that.
So before we wrap up, though, let's make sure that everyone has got their tips. Anyone else has anything to share about getting that book out?
I have a few tips.
Okay, Claire.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Claire.
Okay, I have to come back. All right.
Okay, I have a question though, a comment. I want one more question. I know Dr. Powers has left, but I'd like to find out some of each author's therapies toward writing. I mean, because I mean, is there some particular combination of things that you do just put you in the space and you just start rattling off you just start rattling. You start rattling. I mean, you could write for hours. And also, what's the longest period of time that you've written for nonstop?
I have something to say about that. I think having a short memory for the detractors. I take pride in reading all of those who don't agree with me, because there's something to be learned from everybody. And I think that's important.
Huh, very good, very good, very good. Again, writing therapies that get you in that space?
For me, it's, I mean, I'm always thinking about making imagination feel real. So that is my focus therapy. I mean, I get that, and then I can write. I mean, I can write a long time. I can write 10, 12 hours. So I'm always thinking about making imagination feel real, and that's why I try to put my stories together that way.
Very good, very good. Ken,
Okay,
what do you think?
I just have to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So back to marketing, just a few tips for the writers. Since people talked about social media being the elephant in the room. So one of the things that works for me is that I have a lot of groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, and I find that when you have a group, you have power and you can communicate to your group. Now, of course, finding subscribers and getting people in the group is part of the marketing that you have to do. But once people buy a book, you should immediately, capture their email, have a conversation with them, do a Zoom with them, bring them into your Facebook and your LinkedIn groups, because the people who have bought your books can tell other people about your books and go viral with it. Another tip is to go on to the bloggers podcasts like mine and have people interview you, and you can get more viewerships, because the more videos that you do with podcasters and media stations and radio stations, you can share that, and that's content for your website. So I'm of course biased, so attend more of my events, and you'll have more videos, and then you have more content. So the more content you have on your Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, you're creating algorithms. And as you create algorithms, you're going to get more impressions. So those are my quick tips for social media. And if you don't have time to keep up with it, just get on to many interviews as you can and have many videos to share. Once you do that, you'll have a constant supply, and attend all my events. We do 4 events a month, and so you'll have 4 videos every month. So that's really my tip. All right, we have to wrap this session because we have to bring Captain Jerry Baker on board with Fit for Life. So Ramona, please wrap us up, and then I'm going to bring Jerry back on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We've had just a fabulous round with fiction and nonfiction and marketing, and it has helped us escape a little bit, the realities by thinking about espionage and beekeeping and whatnot. And thank you, Ken, for leading us in this roundtable. Thank you, Elton, for bringing in the important themes about tenacity and, writing therapy. And I think everyone has brought something valuable to the table. Thank you so much, Brian, for taking us to the Himalayas and talking about how important it is to get your perspectives right. If you need to get back to what life is really about.
Sure.
So thank you, everyone. And
thank you also. Thank you also for your
contribution.
Thank you.